Welcome back to another episode of the STGeek Podcast with myself, AJ, and with me are my co-hosts.
Peter, hello, hi.
This is John.
Yo. So we are here to talk about some news about movies, gaming, comics, TV shows, really whatever the hell we talk about. What we want to talk about, that is. To start things off, though, we do have some news. So as if you couldn't tell from the title of this episode, we do have some Birds of Prey news to talk about. Have you guys heard anything about this movie recently?
Didn't Margot Robbie tweet a picture of the script or something?
The script name. It was terrible. It was so long. Oh my god.
It's now titled Birds of Prey, and in parentheses, and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
That's great, guys. Great.
Is that a working title?
Yes.
I think that's going to be the full title.
Sold.
God.
Like on the marquee, it's obviously going to say Birds of Prey, but on like the movie poster, it probably will be stretched out like that.
Good job.
I imagine.
You guys did.
Warner Brothers.
Do I get my Oscar now?
So I kind of like this, though. I think it's a bold strategy. Yeah, it's a silly name, but as long as they're putting the name Harley Quinn on the movie posters for everyone to see, I think that's how they're going to get people in the seats, because a lot of people don't know what Birds of Prey is.
They're going to have trailers with her in it. She's going to be in the posters. Really? Do we need her name on the title now?
She's gonna be the poster child for this, without a doubt. She's the one character that got any development in Suicide Squad. Margot Robbie's a pretty good actress. She'll get people in seats. So obviously they're gonna throw her. They're gonna throw the name Harley Quinn everywhere, and they're gonna have Harley Quinn all over the promotion for this, without a doubt. It doesn't surprise me, but God, really?
That's terrible. Who is sitting there like, guys, I have the idea. Harley Quinn on the title.
Right. There's a chance we can use the word fantabulous somewhere in this, and somehow they allowed it. I mean, I think it's a fun little title. They're making sure that everyone understands that it's not going to be a super dark, serious, typical DC movie that's been released of late. So at least they're getting that message across. I don't know if they needed to go that strong with it, but at least it seems like it's going to be a fun ride, to say the least.
We'll see.
Well, yeah, let's see. It sounds like they don't have faith in it if they have to put her fucking name on the title.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, like AJ said, I don't think people know what the hell the Birds of Prey are, so...
Exactly. Yeah. But to John's point, though, I mean, obviously she will be in every trailer for that movie when it starts coming out. But they're not shooting that movie until February of 2019. And then I guess the due date of the actual movie coming out is due to release in early 2020. No word as far... Actually, no, it's going to be released February 2020, but due to start shooting in early 2019. No month set for shooting, but that is the case at the moment. So interesting to see that they plan to get all the shooting done and post-production done within the year.
It's not out of the norm, I don't think.
That's true. It's probably like maybe typically within like 3 weeks to maybe a month and a half of shooting, and then the rest of the year to get the editing done and such.
It can be. Depends.
Yeah, true that. I would hope that, DC needs some wins. They have a couple in the pipeline right now. Mm-hmm. If they can do 3 in a row, that would be amazing as far as I'm concerned.
Speaking of DC, there's a new trailer for Aquaman, which I liked a lot more than the last one.
Yes.
At least in the aspect that they didn't show as much as the last one. I kind of would have liked to see this one better, because it still got me hyped for it, but I feel like the second one, as cool as it was, maybe gave away a bit too much.
See, I'm glad I didn't really watch much of the second one at all. When I heard about... Are you talking about like the extended trailer?
Yes.
I didn't watch that one, but this newest one that did release in theaters as well, that one, it just got me super hyped for it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It looks really, really fun. But I'm hyped for that. Speaking of Aquaman, actually, have you guys heard about the record that's broken?
No, what record?
Something.
So within a 24-hour span, no other movie has sold as many pre-order tickets. That's including Infinity War, Black Panther, such stuff like that. Star Wars.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
But then again, that's within a 24-hour time period. Critics don't know if this pace is going to keep up into the release of the movie, even though it releases next month. That is December.
Did Warner Brothers buy all these tickets?
I know. The movie looks awesome. We're talking about it.
I mean, it does look awesome, but... Aquaman, I don't see why Aquaman of all things.
Jason Momoa, my friend.
Right?
What do you mean?
They actually found a badass guy to play Jason Momoa. I mean, jokes aside from shows like Entourage and stuff like that, this movie does seem like it has some serious legs to it.
To play Jason Momoa?
They needed Jason Momoa to play Jason Momoa.
I guess so.
He's that
Only
great of a man.
Right?
My man.
We're just going to get a lot of that for an hour and a half to 2.5 hours, essentially. But no, I'm excited for it. I think it's cool that this is happening. I think, to your point, Peter, in that it's probably the super fans of DC and stuff like that that are the ones pre-ordering these tickets right now. But again, who's to say that this will actually sell as many tickets as something like Black Panther or Infinity War in the end?
They're probably just like, fuck, if we don't buy tickets to this, they're just going to pull the plug on the whole thing. We need to really show our support.
Maybe so, yeah. But I respect them for doing so. They're supporting the scene they love. There's plenty of times in my life where I've had to do the same, whether it's a video game or whatever the hell, or anime or manga for that matter. So just to see that people came out in droves to pre-order these tickets is pretty awesome. I'm kind of sad because I haven't pre-ordered my ticket yet either, and I want to make sure I get a freaking great middle seat within that theater when I go to see it. Probably going to go to IMAX for this one, or maybe Dolby Cinema. We'll see. Both are pretty good experiences. Any preferences for you guys?
For movie?
Yeah.
For
theatric experience, if you will.
Dolby's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Have you experienced it?
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty fun.
Am I the only one who is not? God damn it.
It's
pretty damn good.
Better than IMAX?
Sound quality, yeah, but picture quality, it's very great high definition. It's like minimum 4K, if not 8K. But the screen is not as big. But again, the sound quality is
it
booming.
just the sound quality? So overall...
Visual fidelity and sound quality. But again, the only thing is the screen just isn't as huge. Yeah.
Is that really the only difference? Mm-hmm. So why even go to the IMAX at that point? You're losing
I've
some screen size
for
better quality. Mm-hmm. Oh, shit.
Right.
Okay.
Especially if
I'm sold.
At a lot of AMC theaters where Dolby Cinema is at, you could dine in and chill and have some dinner while you're having your date as well. But the only thing is IMAX has done a good thing at Edward Cinema recently in that it has allowed drinks. Like they all have a bar. You can take your glass of wine or cocktail or beer in with you, which is they're kind of copying the AMC / Alamo Draft House kind of idea.
I'm so sneaking in beers. I am not paying $10 for a cheap ass drink.
I've had
good
some
old flask.
Good old drunken nights there. I thought the movie theater. I'll tell you that much of the past couple of years anyway. But yeah, that is Aquaman news. Next up, we're gonna kind of probably barrel through this one. This is probably the earliest recorded podcast for STGeek, if I'm not mistaken. I have my day job to go to right after this, so kind of just running from one thing to another today. But we do have the Lion King teaser trailer. Peter, what are your thoughts on that?
It looks good. I still don't know why it's considered live action. Well, actually, after watching this trailer, I realized why they're doing all these live action remakes.
Please.
Number one, they're out of ideas.
Okay.
They're running out of things to steal, like Disney's famous for. And if you're gonna remake one of your classic movies, why not do something different with it and make it a bit... just tweak it. So the live action angle, instead of just remaking the animation or updating the animation, maybe remastering the animation, they're doing...
Which they've done before, actually.
Yeah, they're doing live action remakes. I don't know why it took me this long to figure that out. Mm-hmm.
But you're gonna buy a ticket?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they did the job right then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If I don't think I would have given a shit if it was just a remaster of the animation.
And Disney, I don't think they've ran out of original ideas. I think it's their original ideas are shitty. Because there's the Nutcracker, right? Which is by them, I believe.
That is a Disney movie.
There's that Wrinkle of Time, which was crappy. The Day After...
The Day
After Tomorrow. Starring Jake Gyllenhaal, yes.
Wrinkle of Time was based on a book, by the way.
Yes. But it's their newer stuff. It's not like their original...
Still not original.
Well, I mean, like even Snow White, they didn't create. It's just folk tales that they turned into their own movies, stuff like that. But again, it's like the original Disney formula of them taking original stories and then really making it their own, like making them true kids movies or family movies. You could say.
Yeah, they did. What was that other crappy one with?
Recently?
No, it was so awful too. It had Batman in it.
What?
It had who?
The actor.
Which
George
Batman?
Clooney. George Clooney.
Oh, Tomorrowland.
Tomorrowland.
I never saw that.
I said that earlier. Yeah.
Nice.
Tomorrowland. Disney make their version of it now.
The one critique I've heard of Tomorrowland, not to get too far into that one, but I just heard people don't really know who it's for. Like even in the trailer, it kind of looked intriguing, and I was curious of it, but I didn't know what it was even about. Really.
I didn't know who it was for. That's why I didn't see it.
Yeah,
it was like it kind of looked like it tailored to little kids, but then George Clooney's in it, and look, dude, kids don't know who the fuck George Clooney is,
right? Exactly.
I never saw it. I don't know. Maybe it's fine. I don't know.
I understand. I at least with A Wrinkle of Time, for another example, you can kind of tell, that's towards like maybe younger to teen females, young adult kind of story, because that's the type of book it is as well. It's a kid/young adult book. So at least that's the crowd they're trying to draw in for that. Kids can bring their parents, bring the kids, whatever, and they can sell tickets that way. But for Tomorrowland, again, like, what was the genre of that film? Is it sci-fi? Is it just a family type of movie? I couldn't even tell from the trailers.
Wasn't he a robot or something? Wasn't there a robot involved in the trailer?
That's news to me. I had no idea.
I don't know.
If you've seen Tomorrowland, let us know, please. You can, again, after we get through this thing of topics, you can hit us up on Gmail. That's stgeekpod@gmail.com. Also on Instagram and Twitter @stgeekpod. John, what were your thoughts on Lion King, though?
I think it looked great.
Yes.
What even is it? It's not CGI, right?
It is CGI. Yes.
What
Mixed
type of CGI is it?
I have no photorealistic.
Is that what it is?
That's what you could deem it.
Fucking great. I wish I would have saw, maybe Seth Rogen talk a bit, or just some talking, some voice acting of some sort. But yeah,
you got James Earl Jones.
Yes.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, but you've heard it before.
Yeah. Right. Same line, but different era, I suppose. Yeah, but no, he sounded great. And I thought the visual fidelity of Simba, he looked freaking adorable throughout the whole thing.
Did.
Yes. The slight changes, because in the cartoon, I believe he breaks like a fruit.
Yes.
And this time it's like some bush kind of
thing. Like a root, exactly.
Yeah, so looks pretty dope. Mm-hmm. I'm excited. I'm kind of wondering if it's going to just literally be, copy and paste. If it's going to be 100% just The Lion King, or if they're going to put new songs in it. Maybe some twists.
That's a good point. They did that with Beauty and the Beast, didn't they? They added some songs.
They made somebody gay, which there's nothing wrong with it.
I thought, if anything, that was cool and progressive of them to do.
The parts that I did see of Beauty and the Beast, I actually liked the gay character, even though he's very obviously infatuated with Gaston. Yes. And it's very funny. I enjoyed it.
How they kind of like nod to it here and there.
Yeah,
like he's like. Anyway, it was a great little way to play off that character without being extremely on the nose. But I mean, I think we're only a few years away from that actually being a thing anyway.
It made me think back to the original, and I was just like, he was kind of a little bit too into Gaston
to just be
so.
Friends.
Like, was it like this the whole time? It may have just. Maybe I was just too young to pick up on it, but I'm just
those little social cues. Yeah. I think we were all too young. That's all that it was. We didn't really know about that back then, I suppose. Feels weird to say now, but yeah. Otherwise, it was cool that they actually showed some representation in that movie. I thought that was neat, just for modern time's sake, or just whatever. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, Lion King, super excited. The music got me going. I was like laughing with joy, kind of in a way, when I was watching it. Like, my eyes just lit up. I could feel it. And it was really fun to see. This is a movie I'm definitely going to see. We're probably going to review for this podcast, I imagine. And I'm ready for it. It seems cool. But I do look forward to hearing Seth Rogen and the rest of the cast actually speak. But I wonder if that's kind of what they're holding off on right now. Because, as good as the movie does look, CGI speaking, I think maybe some things are probably still working out as far as the lip syncing goes. Because sometimes in live action movies like that, like in The Jungle Book, it was a pretty impressive looking movie, but I was taken out of it here and there when animals were talking, just because it's not perfect yet. They're getting there. And even some Lion King stuff, it looked a little funny, but for the most part, it's extremely impressive for the day.
It seems like as of late, the Disney is with their live action properties, their live action remakes, they're recreating the original trailers for the animation. Have you guys seen the comparison videos? Yeah, they did it with Aladdin, and now they're doing it with Lion King, so I mean, that's pretty cool, I guess.
Right? It's not very original, but at least they're kind of reigniting that for the new generation of viewers. And also something I was like a little nod to older viewers, like, I guess, us sitting here on the couch.
So let me ask you guys this. Yeah. Since we're on the topic of Disney and remakes, what's, in your opinion, the most underrated Disney movie that maybe you would like to see remade in live action?
Ooh,
Hercules.
Okay, Hercules.
You did say that in the last episode.
And that is actually, from my understanding, that movie didn't do too well. I didn't know that until recently.
Oh.
But it was kind of like when the Disney cartoon movies were kind of dying out and Pixar started to
most definitely. Mm.
Or it's not underrated, but Tarzan. I would fucking crazy. Love to see Tarzan.
That's a really...
But it's not underrated. But
I would say it's underrated.
You think so? It won awards.
It's not one of the most prolific soundtracks.
Yeah,
of any Disney
movie. I love it. I'm not talking down about it at all. But I think when people are talking about their heavy hitter, their Disney heavy hitters, I don't think Tarzan really comes up all that much. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but
I'll agree with you on that. I always hear people, I love, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin. I mean, I always say Aladdin.
If anything, I say Beauty and the Beast, it's a little overrated for that matter.
Yeah.
But that's just maybe because I'm a male, I don't know.
And I recently watched Tarzan maybe about a month ago, and that movie's still great.
Oh, heck yeah.
It's so good.
Beautiful soundtrack, beautiful story, still kind of gets a tear in my eye every now and then. God damn it.
But I'm still going to say Hercules, because I love Hercules.
I think Hercules would be a good way to go because that's something that hasn't been done yet. We've seen a Tarzan movie recently, which wasn't by Disney, but it didn't perform all too well, if I remember correctly. By Michael Fassbender. No, that wasn't Michael Fassbender.
No,
that was a gentleman from
one of the
Skarsgård. Peter Skarsgård.
There you go.
Thank you so much. I get those two mixed up all the time. Even though Skarsgård, I believe, is a bit younger, if I'm not mistaken. Either way,
there's like 3. I don't know. The Skarsgård family, they're all actors, so I don't know. It's one of them.
Yeah,
it's one of the Skarsgårds.
Gotcha. Okay, just like the wanted to say Hemsworth. There we go.
Pretty much, they're another Hemsworth family.
It's only 2 of them, right? Isn't one of them just a nobody? No, the Hemsworths.
It's like 3 of them at least.
2 of them are actually actors, and one of them's like
one of them acted in Thor Ragnarok for a second there. That little cameo.
Have you guys, going off on a bit of a tangent here, have you guys watched the show The Good Place?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've only watched like up to episode 2, but I liked it.
It's really funny. In the most recent season, there's a funny joke. There's the oldest Hemsworth brother, who isn't an actor or anything. There's a pretty funny episode with him in it, and he's just always like down. He's just like, yeah, I'm a Hemsworth too, but my brothers get all the, like he's really down and sad about it, and it's really funny.
It's actually pretty awesome that they would reference something like that.
It's a really good episode. And it's a really good show. If you guys haven't seen it, I'd recommend checking it out.
I love the first 2 episodes, and I've been meaning to go back. I just haven't yet.
It gets more interesting after the first season. I'll say that. The first season's pretty cut and dry, but then all insanity ensues after that. It gets really good after the first season.
You know what made it even better? When I turned off John's subtitles on Netflix.
Motherfucker, AJ.
It was great.
You motherfucker.
I turned them back on, I think it did. That was about a month ago, though, but yes.
I'll kill you, AJ. If me and AJ ever go disappearing from the podcast, you know why.
1, I'm dead, and secondly, John's like in Mexico or Canada, whichever's closer for us. I guess we're going to be in Mexico at the moment.
So John's, going back to Disney, so John's was Hercules, AJ's...
Oh, I mean, we talked about it last week a little bit, and that maybe Emperor's New Groove, but they'd have to find a really clever, great actor to be able to play that. And again, we were talking about being ethnically representative for that role of Cusco, and also for Pacha and all the other characters.
John Goodman. You gotta keep him as Pancha.
But he doesn't
being politically correct. John Goodman is Pancha.
I agree with you for that role at least.
I hate to be that guy, era. But it's Pacha.
Pacha,
yeah. What did you say?
Pancha.
Pancha.
He just thought of the word poncho. He's like, he wears a poncho. Right? It's poncho.
I'm practicing my Mexican, guys. My Spanish.
Practicing my Mexican. John 2018.
Yep.
God.
RPG travel.
Yeah, there you go. I might say that one. Nothing else is truly coming to mind that I have to see. But my only issue is with translating animated to live action, or live action-esque, you could say, is that I just wonder, would they be able to capture the same magic, the same humor? Will it come across as well?
I was going to say the same thing, because I feel like in Emperor's New Groove's case, that would be very difficult to do. A lot of the comedy really gets complemented via the animation and whatnot. So it'd be kind of weird to bring that one. Difficult to bring that one into live action.
True. There's scenes where people are turning into multiple types of animals, and part of the humor of the physical comedy of it is that some of them are really colorful, some of them look funny. Like the llama, for example, he doesn't look. You could tell it's a llama, but just the way little faces it makes, or there's points where it's wearing like eyeliner and mascara.
There's the pull the lever crunk moment.
Exactly.
There's a crocodile biting her butt and.
Exactly.
All that stuff.
The art style for that movie was really awesome, too. It's like kind of a classic art style that they've revisited in other movies as well. And other studios have done it as well, like the Squared Fingers and stuff like that. All that. I did like it, but again, I don't think that would come across very well as live action.
Yeah, my choice I don't think would be very good in live action either, but as far as underrated Disney movies go, Hunchback of Notre Dame.
That would be interesting.
I really like that movie.
That's a movie with a good lesson, too, and I feel like they could get away with that. I mean, I think the biggest CGI hurdle to my imagination would be maybe the gargoyles. Is there anything else that would be like a real challenge to have come across.
I mean, there's like they could probably cut him from a live action remake altogether, but there's like this what's the word, jester character that they have who's pretty cartoony and animated and does some pretty wild things.
Gotcha.
So that would be pretty difficult also.
Sure, I could see that looking something like Fantastic Beasts in the way they kind of handle whimsical and magical moments, I suppose.
But that's a really good movie, just overall. The music's good, the story's not original, but it's Disney, whatever.
Not gonna lie, have never seen that movie the whole way through before.
Oh, yeah.
I've watched bits of it. I had a cousin.
It's really dark too.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've seen.
It starts pretty dark, actually. Now that I think about it.
Well, he's an ugly savage. He doesn't deserve to live. I'm just kidding. No.
Goddamn. At PG Chava. Guys.
Yeah, at PG Chava right now. Anyway, goddamn. I'm gonna get burnt at the stake for that one. One day you'll watch. Okay, It's gonna be a two-man show really quick. If John doesn't kill me, someone else will.
Yeah.
Anyway, Hunchbacks are awesome too, guys. You guys are awesome.
They're people.
Yes, exactly. So
we lost half our fan base. Thank you, AJ.
This one goes out to all the Hunchbacks out there. Is there any other news you guys wanted to touch on before we get into our main topic?
I don't think so.
No, yeah.
All right, I guess that'll do it for the news. Though, as you guys again saw for the title of this episode, we did go out and watch Creed 2. We all did go out and watch Creed 2, correct?
That's what we were watching.
Shit.
Wreck-It Ralph break the internet.
Oh no!
Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet looks like a lot of fun, and if we have any downtime for episodes, we could probably revisit that and review it one day, but we did not get to that one, no. But again, if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to touch on in future episodes, go ahead and email us at stgeekpod@gmail.com. Also, Instagram, Twitter, STGeekPod, as well, as I mentioned earlier. Again, we'll give you a little shout out if you have any questions or topics you want us to bring up. But yes, without further ado, we have Creed 2. We're going to start off without spoilers and then probably quickly move into it, just because early on a lot of things happen to the character of Creed, Adonis Creed, that is. So, starting off, John, what were your thoughts at the beginning of the movie?
I thought it was great. I like how... I don't think this is too much of a spoiler, but I actually like the beginning part of it, how it shows Drago's son instead of going with Creed at first.
True, yeah.
And kind of like it lets you connect with the character on what he's going through and why he's gonna be a badass, and I fucking loved it.
I thought the same thing. I thought it was really cool. For a second, it kind of made it made you think that maybe he was going to be the focus of the story in some capacity.
Sure.
Which he isn't, but they do give him a lot of screen time and really make you kind of feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Honestly, they really make you feel for the antagonist he's only in like 3 or 4 scenes, something like that, but they're right from the get-go, you're just
he's like in the original Rocky 4. Drago's a bad guy. Like, you want him to fucking lose. I mean, he killed Apollo Creed.
Oh, yeah.
Spoilers.
For like a 30-year-old movie.
Yeah.
And this one, you can tell the son's just doing it for the dad.
Yeah. And he doesn't seem like he has his own sense of thought, really.
Yeah, I know.
He kind of he's brought up a certain way to fight, to train, and that's all he really knows in life.
I love how he woke him up, how he just fucking punches him in the chest.
Yeah, jeez, yeah. So,
and it was a hard hit.
To set the scene, Apollo Creed's son, gosh darn it, Drago's son, Victor, is laying down in bed, and this the first thing you see, his dad smacks him right in the chest, just like, okay, it's time to start training.
Big deal, yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, like, hey son, time to wake up now. It's like, bam, you're fucking awake. Let's do this, bitch. Yeah, it was kind of a rough start, really. I agree in that. Yeah, you do really feel bad for the guy. He has a terrible family life, having only his dad to look after him and kind of tell him everything what to do in his life. And on top of that, his work life is terrible. He has to like lift just heavy things and move cement from one place to another, bullshit like that.
That dude is so ripped.
That dude is gigantic. I had seen some interviews of him on Instagram like a week before the movie came out. I was ready because I was like, this guy's gigantic. Like, how's Michael B. Jordan going to stand a chance?
I didn't even realize how tall he was until they're standing next to each other.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just shadowing over him like, fuck.
Yes, there's like the weighing in the movie. And yeah, everyone in that theater, when it showed them stand face to face, everyone was like, oh.
Yeah.
Everyone shuddered simultaneously. It was pretty cool.
I was thinking to myself, how are these guys in the same weight class?
Seriously. Like, he has at least like a half foot on him, it seems.
Yeah.
Maybe a little less, maybe. But on top of that, he's more broad, more thick.
He looks like he has nothing but muscle. I bet that man has absolutely no body fat.
Something like that. Yeah, he is a big
But I
boy.
agree. Like, neither does Creed. Like, he has no body fat on him,
Super cut.
and you can just tell that this dude is just bigger.
I watched the first movie the night prior to watching this one, and in the first movie he's a light heavyweight, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But in this one, he's the heavyweight champion. He
is the heavyweight champion in the second one.
He starts, spoiler, the first match that you see Creed fight in is him beating the champion.
Yes.
Beating the heavyweight champion. I don't know.
His name was.
Yes. Yeah. Which, I don't know, I thought that was weird. He doesn't look like a heavyweight. He doesn't. I mean, he's ripped, but to be a heavyweight, I don't know.
He didn't seem like he
it took
had
me
that
out of it
much
for a bit.
Mass, maybe to his body.
And
he doesn't seem like a massive guy.
And then I thought back compared to the original Rocky movies, where Apollo Creed, this was with the 80s, where steroids was okay apparently. So I thought back to that, and I'm just like, those guys were way bigger than Adonis Creed.
It's funny because he even says that. I love that he says that. Drago, he says it to Creed. He says, "You're smaller than your father." I was like, "Oh fuck!"
That was a pretty rough diss, though. Too. I was like, "Damn."
That was nice, and it's true. It's like you can just tell the difference and just
and physique and all that. I mean, well, obviously. Adonis Creed, the character, he has a lot more cut to him, but again, he's a smaller man. It seems like, if that's not the case, but he does seem a little shorter.
How tall is he actually?
That's a good question. I'll look that up. But
it made me wonder.
Please, are you looking it up?
Because I always imagine him being kind of tall-ish, but
I thought he was
standing next to Victor Creed, I was just like, or Victor Drago.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, damn, he's
6 foot.
It makes him look short.
6 foot, okay,
Goddamn.
Cool. So this guy's probably like 6'5" or so, 6'3".
Yeah,
I would have to guess.
He just towers over him. It looks like.
Oh yeah,
Jesus.
And again, in sheer height and bulk on top of that, he's just a big boy that you'd want to mess with for sure. As Peter you mentioned, the starts off after you get the introduction of Victor Drago. Then it does cut to Creed winning his title as heavyweight champion of the world, which is great and all. I felt like that was a little anticlimactic. I know it's just to get the movie rolling, and it sets the scene as that now Creed has something to uphold and something to defend, which does end up being the case. Because why is it that the character Victor Drago is sent to America?
Because of the promoter.
Yes.
The promoter wants just the fight to happen. And, I feel like he was just not a great character. Like, what was the point of even having him in there?
He got the ball rolling, and then he was just kind of
for like 2 seconds, though. Yeah, and then you just kind of randomly see him smile when shit's happening.
I think it showed him smiling because I think he was being honest when he was talking to Creed. I mean, he's a bit of a shithead and an instigator, but also I think he truly is just a big fan of boxing, and kind of like what we were talking about earlier, people just want to see their scene or the things they care about become great, and he made a good point to Creed earlier in the movie, saying that again, there's this promoter character that wants to get Creed and the son of Apollo Creed and the son of Drago to be able to face each other in a huge, memorable match for the ages. Because he makes a point to Creed saying that how many of world championship boxers can people within this venue even name? Maybe four or five. And I think that was a fair point, because I thought to myself, how many can I think of? Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya, Mike Tyson, I guess. Foreman, and I can't think of another one. Did I say Tyson already?
Holyfield?
Evander Holyfield. Thank you. The guy that beat the fuck out of Tyson, actually. Showed him what's up. Even though he lost an ear to have to do it. But no, he still owned that fight regardless. But anyway, still, I was able to name 4 to maybe 6 tops. So he had a good point in that regard. So again, when it showed the promoter smiling, I just wanted to say that was him just realizing, you know what, I did it. And this is this fight I always wanted to see. And so I think he just felt success. So even though it was kind of cheesy and weird and maybe it seemed useless to have him as a character, it did show him instigate the fight. It was a plot point to make. Or plot tool, you could say, and then it came to fruition. So I think that was the only point he had in the movie.
Yeah, I think his main scene, or the only scene where he actually did anything that was necessary, was that scene where he talks to Adonis Creed, and gets in his head a little bit about his legacy and all that. So that was pretty cool.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good movie, though. Your guys' thoughts?
Great.
I loved it. So this movie, as well as the previous one, do something that's very difficult, as it is technically a sequel to the Rocky franchise, and it has a lot of homages to the previous movies, but it still feels fresh and brand new. Not to mention, it's shot very, very well.
I thought the same thing.
The cinematography is incredible. These fights feel very real. Mm-hmm. And
fuck yeah! So they had me at the edge of the seat.
Yeah, exactly. It really pulls you in with how these fights are shot.
Well, let me know if you guys experienced this, but in the theater I saw it, and I just saw it yesterday actually. During the fight versus Drago, people were cheering and clapping and stuff like that. Sorry to audio listeners, but yeah, it was pretty cool to experience that. Like, people were cheering in the crowd,
even though it's a movie and it's all scripted. Everybody in my theater as well felt like we were watching a real fight.
Yeah, I was blocking my face a couple times, like flinching a little bit in my seat. It was really fun. Like, everyone was going ooh It was super energetic and fun. Like, again, I agree with you. The shots are really awesome. There's a shot in the first one where I believe it's Creed running towards Rocky to making sure he's okay, or maybe I'm thinking of the first one, but it's all kind of slow motion and everyone's kind of just jogging together. I don't know. I just thought it was really cool shots. The shot at the end of the first one as well, where they're standing on top of the staircase and they're looking over Philadelphia. I thought that was really awesome as well.
That's the first one.
Okay, thank you. And then even the second one, though, there was one thing that I think was missing, at least that I noticed that they had in the first one that they didn't in this one, and the new one, was that the first fight in Creed 1, it's like one continuous shot, or at least it's edited to very much look like it's one long shot of a fight.
Oh, yeah.
And the choreography was absolutely fantastic and believable as well. Like, every punch doesn't seem like it's pulled at all. It's really heavy.
Having just watched that movie recently, the first one, I thought the same thing. I know exactly which fight you're talking about. And yeah, the entire fight, not just a round, the entire fight makes it look like it's all one continuous shot. And if I remember correctly, I think... I don't know if that's the case in this one, but I think in the first one, they actually had them not actually fighting, but they did have them actually throwing real punches.
Wow.
I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me.
Well, they get hit. I know these actors get hit.
Yeah, I mean, if
during this,
either it's on accident or maybe they do it for the shot. Who knows? I mean, maybe not full force, because again, that guy that plays Drago is gigantic. His name is Florian Munteanu. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that last name.
Wait, that's who?
Florian Munteanu.
That's the
guy that plays Victor Drago.
Gotcha.
Huge guy. No, not Dolph Lundgren. I actually almost thought they were somewhat related, but nah, they are pretty different looking guys. Speaking of which, Dolph Lundgren is still a gigantic man.
So is Sly Stallone, for all intents and purposes.
You know, he's 72 years old?
72 years old, and the guy has a six-pack. It's crazy. I think they both might actually. Dolph Lundgren, I saw him on Instagram. I looked him up like a few days before watching this movie. Dude is ripped to shit, man. It's crazy to see it, the shape these guys keep themselves in. I would say that it's probably more what I like to call pretty muscle rather than like true strength, because I think, again, they could probably lift a heavy object, but since they're so old, their joints are probably broken down a little bit. But it's no disrespect to these guys. They are way more ripped than any of us on this couch.
They got money. They probably rebuilt themselves from the ground up. They got robot parts.
Probably, they probably do.
2018 guys.
It's impressive to see guys in their late 60s and early 70s looking as amazing as they do. I think if anything, Stallone kind of makes himself look older just for the role, because again, in pictures of him in public, dude looks like a sly dog. It's crazy.
I've said the same thing, especially in the first one when he spoiler, I guess, when he's going through, he has cancer and he's going through chemo. They really play up the whole, like, him looking old.
Oh, he looks terrible.
They roll his eyebrows and stuff like that. Or
exactly.
Yeah, but
in real life, the dude still looks great.
Yeah. I'm surprised as well of the shape he keeps himself in. He would allow himself to be portrayed in such a way as an old man in these movies. I mean, I get it that he's kind of taking on the new Mickey role, if you will. And I love that. A thing I love about this movie, or about these two movies now in Creed, is that it's essentially a retelling of the first few movies now, kind of in sped up form, because now we're already at Rocky 4, kind of. The only thing is Revenge is now, instead of from Rocky, Apollo's friend, it's now his actual son. A son he never even got to know, which I thought was kind of heartwarming and heartbreaking all at the same time. The story is pretty intense as well. You got a lot of people having their own issues. Apollo's fiance in this movie as well has her own issues with her hearing that they do touch on in the first one. Essentially, she's progressively becoming deaf, which is kind of a sad story because she's a musician, but it's her way of kind of dealing with it. I felt like they touched on it for a moment and then kind of backed away for a little while as well.
The focus really shift onto there's Is this a spoiler? I don't know.
We'll move into spoilers now officially, just to be safe.
All right, so spoilers.
Spoiler
alert.
Okay.
They have a kid. She becomes pregnant. And the story kind of shifts from her trying to be a musician to them just dealing with Parenthood Creed, especially.
Yeah.
Because he's this happens. Okay, now there weren't spoilers. So he gets coaxed into fighting Victor Drago
by this promoter guy.
And it kind of reminded me of The Dark Knight Rises. Because Rocky was like Alfred, and he was trying to talk about like, this dude's gonna fuck you up.
Yes, it's actually, I never thought about that parallel. You're right. Sorry.
Yeah, like this, and even the fight like is very one sided. Like Victor Drago was not in any danger at any point. I think Creed lands one good hit.
He lands like a couple headshots, maybe.
Which
he just shakes off.
He just shakes off, and they're really good hits. He just shakes it off.
He's a big boy.
So that's what this reminded me of. Oh yeah, that's what this reminded me of a lot. Was The Dark Knight Rises.
That should be the title of this movie. Creed 2. He's a big boy. That's all I know. But go on.
So he gets his ass handed to him in such a brutal fashion.
Nothing.
His ribs get broken.
Yes.
He gets knocked out cold.
Kidney ruptured.
He
looks like shit.
And so after all this, he, while he's recovering and still trying to deal with the psychological effects of taking such a hard loss. Yes. Oh yeah, I should mention Victor Drago does get disqualified. He does not win this match. He gets disqualified because he lands a body punch.
He would have won the match.
I would have been
one of those believers of this guy won.
No, the public opinion, they even say later on, is that Victor is the champion.
Yes.
Because Creed stood no chance against him. But officially, Creed still had the title. He was still the champion because he got disqualified. He landed a cheap shot after
very cheap shot.
He punches Creed in the ribs. He goes down to his knee, at which point you're supposed to back off and let them recover. But he doesn't. He lands another follow-up punch directly to the head, which disqualifies him on the spot. So anyway. Creed is... What are we talking about? Him having a kid, right? Oh, yeah.
That old chestnut.
Yeah, so Creed...
Because he took the hard loss.
Yeah, he took the hard loss. So he's dealing with the psychological traumas of that, as well as trying to be a father now. I mean, he obviously has some issues... Has had some issues with his father, not really knowing him. He had some abandonment issues early on in life, and now they really touch on him being a father himself now. And it's really good. They really make you feel for him.
Most definitely, I agree.
That's the difference between these movies and the Rocky movies. Is there's more feelings to them.
Yeah,
because even Rocky himself is going through stuff, and I like that. The train, you also get a background story on the trainer. Like with Mickey, it's just Mickey. Like he's just yelling at Rocky the entire time. With this one, it still feels like it's a part of the Rocky franchise.
Most definitely,
because not only is it just Rocky there, but they touch on his kids, his wife. He still talks to his wife every day. I was super shocked that the son was still the same actor.
Me too. I was wondering.
I was wondering through the whole movie.
Did he play Little Rocky in their
No. From Rocky Balboa, the guy from Heroes. He was the son, and he had a big part in that movie in Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, I did not remember him being in that movie. Wow, I haven't seen Balboa in a long time.
And he was the same son at the end of the movie.
Yeah, that surprised me too.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit! I thought it was gonna be a random nobody.
Milo, yes, okay, or Milo. I think it's pronounced Milo.
Oh my god, that mustache looks terrible.
He wears it a lot in this show called This Is Us. And you guys have seen that's a heavy show that's on TV right now on like ABC. But that's for another episode.
So if I'm not mistaken, I remember hearing this a while back, but the first Creed movie. Let me back up even further. So I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Sylvester Stallone actually wrote the first Rocky movie. It may have been the first and second. I could be wrong about that. But he's had a pretty integral part in the creative process for the entire franchise. And the first Creed, he had nothing to do with it originally. The script was brought to him. He had no interest in doing another Rocky movie, but the script was so good that he was like, we can do this. We can make this. And he wanted to be a part of it.
Gotcha. So. And he ended up writing the screenplay for this one, I believe. I saw in the credits anyway. He might have co-written the screenplay, but I do believe that is the case.
And honestly, I was telling AJ before the podcast, I think they're both great. I just think this one's slightly better.
It definitely does raise the stakes in a good way. I was afraid that this was going to get too samey. Are we retreading the same water with we're redoing the Drago Creed thing? But it doesn't actually. It actually feels very
all over again, or the first one.
Exactly, but it feels very, very new. This goes back to what I said about it paying homage to the original franchise in a lot of good ways with musical cues, imagery.
I feel like it followed some of the same formulas, like the whole you lost mid-match, then he trains to become better. And something I was telling my girlfriend about that they never really say in the Rocky movies, you just kind of pick him up, is every fight he wins, it's a new gimmick. I don't know if you know that. Because in the first Rocky movie, he just, he beats, or he barely loses to Apollo Creed. Okay. And then the second one, he's a left-handed boxer, southpaw, right?
Yeah.
And then he trains to fight with his right hand to throw off Creed. In the third one, he gets slimmer to actually fight Mr. T. So he can be faster. And then in the Drago one, he abuses his body more so he can take harder hits.
That's pretty cool.
So they did that with this one, too, where... He gave himself the gimmick of part 4. They didn't really say it, but he abused himself to the point that he was going to keep on getting up no matter how hard he hit. Mm-hmm. And something else I liked was how Drago was training in the freezing cold.
Yes.
And they put this guy in the hot desert.
I never thought about that polarity.
I was gonna say that. I feel like that was also a parallel to the original Rocky 4, because in Rocky 4, Rocky trains in the mountains, in the Russian mountains, and it's all snowy and stuff. And in this one, they put Adonis Creed in the desert, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. I mean, so yeah, to give a little more detail as to what we're talking about. So after Adonis Creed does lose his first match against Drago, he does have to realize that he has to say
Drago. The Victor Ivan thing is throwing me off.
Yeah, Drago, my friend.
Fair enough. Okay, there you go. Well, then yes, after he loses, he has to go through a huge kind of just regrowth of himself as a person. He goes through a lot of mental and personal issues. He has to realize figure out if he's even going to be a good father or not, if he's a good person or not, if he's even a fighter still, which is the only thing he's ever really considered himself to be good at in life, is that he's been a fighter. I mean, he was abandoned as a kid. Luckily, he was adopted by not even his real mother, because she had died at birth. And then finally, he realizes that the only thing he can do is maintain his title, because he's getting a lot of pressure from the promoter and from the world and from the Boxing Association as well to defend his title, because a boxer that doesn't defend his title ultimately loses it, and they're no longer worthy of it. They have to forfeit the title. Yes, I
like that they in the first movie they say Adonis Creed doesn't want to take the Creed name because he's for a few reasons, but one of those reasons being that he's afraid to be called a fake Creed, like he doesn't feel like he lives up to that title. Mm-hmm. And in this one, Kid Drago actually calls him a fake Creed at one point and like sets him off. There's a lot of little things. Yep. It really does feel like a sequel in every way that it should, which is cool. Some of the later Rocky movies just feel like their own movies, separate from their own universe.
Sure.
And I was afraid this was gonna
the terrible ones.
Rocky Balboa was
it wasn't bad, but I mean compared to the original 4.
Sure, I can agree with that.
All right, so here's the thing. Since we're talking about the Rocky franchise, the first 2 feel very, very real. The first 2 Rocky movies are very down-to-earth, very real. Mm-hmm. Rocky's an actual character.
Real struggles.
The third one and the fourth one, he kind of starts turning into a cartoon character. He's like, seriously, he kind of turns into a superhero. Well, like, it gets very cartoony and kind of out there a little bit. Well, especially the fourth one. The fourth one is very cartoony.
But there were repercussions. Yes, I will say, like the training montage for it. Yeah. I can't disagree with that at all. But I do like how then he actually re-says the line in this one that he broke things in me that can't be fixed.
I was going to bring that up.
That's true.
So there were repercussions. It's not like he's a superhero. And, part 5, which is the worst one in the franchise, it actually talks about his struggles after that fight. Because he goes through, like, brain damage or some shit like
Jesus.
They kind of just pretend the 5th one doesn't happen.
But then they bring it back up, which is weird. Yeah, in Creed in that one, they don't even bring it up. And then in this one, he actually says it again, where he broke stuff in me that won't be fixed.
Gotcha. But no, that was a good line. But yeah, anyway, the point I was getting to is that the reason why we're talking about Creed training in the desert is because he realizes, this is just talking about story anyway, that the only way he can win, because he tried to get trained without Rocky. Rocky was telling him, essentially he was being the Alfred that we were talking about earlier, and that he doesn't really believe that he can win. He doesn't want to tell Adonis Creed this, but Adonis Creed calls him out like, you don't even think I can really do this, and Rocky tries to kind of tiptoe around and just let him know he just thinks he's a dangerous guy, which he ultimately proves to be. And so Adonis Creed realizes this is the only way I can have a chance of winning is if I get Rocky back to train him. Rocky decides, you know what? Fuck it, let's do it. He beat Drago once. Why can't he train someone to be able to do the same? And so then, like in the original Rocky 4, he abuses his body. He trains him how to go beyond his limits. Takes him out to the desert, and even like there's training montages where he's doing pull-ups, and while he's doing these pull-ups, Rocky is smashing him his abs and his sides. It'll bleed.
And that's
with a medicine ball, which is awesome.
When they would really slap his stomach in the original one.
I think I would slap someone if they tried to do that to me.
In my opinion, I think Creed 2 has shades of both Rocky 3 and 4. I think they did a good job of combining both of them, because Mickey tells Rocky, "You're not going to win this fight in part 3." He says you got soft. We've been picking easy fighters for you to win.
Sure.
So they do a good job of putting both those movies in, even though you just kind of assume it's more like a part 4 or more like 4, because it's like that continuation
the redemption.
story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they got great shades of both 3 and 4.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Resident Rocky experts right here in the room. I appreciate that. As a kid, I grew up watching these movies alongside my dad, but I just didn't pay that much attention to them as a little kid. That's all. But I appreciated the first 2 for sure. 3 was fun with Mr. T and all that. That was 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I love that one. I think that
one's probably my favorite, honestly.
Really? Mine's 4, but I think 3's training is the best one, because he gets trained by Creed to become slimmer, faster, buffer. And I love that in that movie they actually talk about how he's a leaner Rocky. Sure. That's the truth. I love it. Them gimmicks.
Yeah.
And it's this, and he says it really quick in Creed 2, where he tells Creed, "You're not going to win with your fight style."
Yeah, with your natural fight
So they
style.
had to change it. Them gimmicks, it's so good.
It's kind
like those little touches.
It's kind of like Goku. You know what Goku?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing.
When Goku has having a hard time, he always thinks of something that turns the tide. There's always one thing.
Most definitely. Whether it's a new transformation or whatever the fuck, he eventually is able to figure it out.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah, ultimately, though, this movie is a total win. I loved every minute of it. There were some things that I liked about the first one, maybe a little more, but ultimately I think this is a great sequel. It was very necessary. I didn't think they had to make a second one, but the fact that they did, it just gave more story to appreciate. I wonder what they're going to do if they do make a third one. I don't even know if that's confirmed, but if they do, if it's just going to be a whole new story, because I don't know if there's much Rocky left that's worth revisiting.
I don't think. Well, he kind of says his goodbye at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
he says it's your journey, your fight. He says something
it's
like
your
that.
Fight now. It's your time now.
So, which is why he went up to Canada, I believe, is where his son lives. No, he said Vancouver. So
yes, Vancouver.
So I wouldn't doubt it if they're going to make a part 3. The movie was very successful. I think it made 50 million, 55
which is
million.
what it was estimated to make.
Is that
about
good?
Yeah,
is that bad? I could never tell.
For a Rocky movie, it's really good
because it's not a lot of.
It's not a bunch of huge names, but I mean, they have Michael B. Jordan and
I would imagine the most costly thing is the actors, because there are no effects. It's all just acting and boxing with somebody else in the long run.
Great cinematography, though, for each fight, though, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the training montages were really, really awesome.
I loved it. The training montages were great. When he collapses after the run.
Yes.
And he's like, get up, get up. So good.
Right. Yeah.
And something else they did in the fight that Rocky said that I never even thought about, because it happens a lot in the original Rocky movies. Whenever he gets knocked down, he takes his time getting up. And he actually says it to Creed.
Oh, yeah, he's like, get up on 8.
Take the 8, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because in the Rocky movies, he gets knocked down a lot. And he takes his time getting up, which makes sense. Because they never explained that in the original ones. You just kind of see him struggle to get up. And he gets up. And in this one, he's actually saying, take your time.
Right.
Get your breath.
He was too hasty to try to get right back in there and try to prove himself and also redeem or get revenge for his dad's death and all that. So, yeah, should we just jump to the final fight then as far as how that all goes? I mean, it's a pretty quick fight. I mean, well, it was really well done.
Before we jump to the final fight, I did want to bring up that I really liked how they touched... It goes back to giving Rocky his own little storyline, but I also like how they talk about the guilt that he feels about Apollo Creed, about how he
could have put the towel.
He could have put his foot down. He could have thrown in the towel. He could have stopped the fight, and so he feels a lot of guilt, feeling responsible for Apollo Creed's death.
But he also knows that Apollo wouldn't have wanted to give up either. Just like Adonis Creed didn't want to throw the towel in either when he was fighting.
Yeah.
He asked him, he's like, do you want me to put in the towel?
Yes.
And he doesn't say anything. He's like, that's what I thought.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was a really cool scene as well. Ultimately, though, yeah, this movie was really great. Are you okay with getting into the scene, or is there anything else you wanted to touch on?
I think that's about it.
All right, sorry. I am in a hurry to get to work pretty soon.
No,
Damn day jobs. But yes, okay, so final scene. Again, after all this beyond rigorous training that Creed has to do in the desert with Rocky, it is time to fight. It is now fight night, and they do it in Russia. So Drago has the home advantage, I guess you could say. At least he has the morale of the crowd on his side.
So did Papa Drago in Rocky IV.
Papa Drago, and look where it got him. So that worked out okay for him. The beginning of the fight, kind of similar within the first couple rounds, in that Drago is kind of still a very menacing size, but then he starts to realize that Creed has a few other tricks up his sleeve as well, as far as he realizes that now he can move a little bit faster. He's dodging a lot of shots from Drago for sure. There's times where he gets against the corner in the turnbuckle, and you think it's over, because that's exactly what happened in the first fight. He gets punched in the face, he gets knocked back, and he's dazed, but he's able to recalibrate himself right when he gets body shots taken at him. He's able to dodge, get out of the corner, and all of a sudden I think that's when Drago realizes this is a different fight now.
And they actually they show that in the training, in the training montage, where they're in the tire and they have 1 foot. That was dope.
Really cool.
Essentially, Rocky trains him to be able to fight more close quarters, because he realizes since Drago has the reach on Creed, the only way Creed can get in is the same way Rocky got in, which is get in, stay in, check the body.
And Rocky tells him, if you want to give the pain, you got to take the pain.
Yes.
Yeah. Fucking love that.
Great line. And that's exactly what Creed had to go through. Yeah. He got knocked around a couple times, but ultimately he was able to not only outspeed him, but also outsmart him. And that, I guess, in the first fight against Drago was able to take the body shots pretty well, but I feel like it's mainly because every time he hit Creed, it hurt Creed a lot, and Creed was able to, again, take the abuse a lot more because he got stronger and more toned. On top of that, he just was able to get in and stay in, for sure. I love the way he was working the body. All of a sudden, Drago, you see him kind of stammer, and he kind of looked confused, realizing, like, that this is a completely different guy I've fought before. I thought it was awesome to see.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I like how Papa Drago tells
Papa Drago. I'm gonna have my grandkids call me that.
Papa Drago.
So, Papa Drago on multiple occasions.
It's a good one.
He tells Kid Drago to break him.
Yes,
which is a throwback to the original.
He says that a couple times in this movie.
Yes. Again, kind of tying into I just realized it right now, The Dark Knight Rises.
Yes, dude, totally. Oh my god. The parallels between these two movies are uncanny for
this
sure.
One's better, though. Dark Knight Rises isn't great.
It's a more believable story, I think.
Add him, please. At Peachy Chubby.
It's not that great.
Hashtag Papa Drago.
Also, a question: if you are a dad, will you now be called Papa Drago by your family? I want to know that, please. Send us a picture of you and your family if you go by Papa Drago now. Anyway, so yeah, I thought that was really cool. Was there a point you guys were making at the moment? I'm sorry, I got lost in the whole Papa Drago laughter.
Oh shit, I don't remember. Peter, you were talking.
I was talking.
We were just talking about
I was just talking about how he said break him.
That's right.
And he does the cheap shot. He actually holds him, and
he gets.
I wasn't a big fan of that, but you know. It builds like that.
They at this point in the movie, you already kind of feel bad for him, and you almost kind of want him to win.
Oh, Drago, that is. Yeah.
Kid Drago. Baby Drago.
Baby Drago.
Drago Jr.
Drago Jr. So I feel like they had to do that to make you not like him, to make you root for Creed more so than you're rooting for Drago, for Kid Drago.
Sure. But you do feel bad for him because I guess... Papa... Oh, go ahead, please. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say... Yeah. It came out of left field, but they had the same actress who
played mom.
Who played the mom come in. Her scenes were very brief, but
she didn't even talk.
She might have had one sound.
Is she the chick from Basic Instinct? The one that uncrosses her legs and
that could be.
I've never seen that movie.
Neither have I. I'm pretty sure.
I just know that scene.
Yeah. Of course you would.
I thought that was pretty cool. So, in case we haven't touched on it already, Papa Drago explains that after his loss to Rocky, in not only his career but his family kind of got torn apart. Yeah. Like his whole life just kind of crumbled. All of the support that he had was gone. His wife had left him, and his son. She had left both of them. They were looked down upon. The Drago name was just kind of a disgrace at that point. So he pushes his son into this fight. Mainly to regain some of his credibility and just to get it kind of there's a little they hint that maybe he might be trying to get his wife back.
Yeah, I think he at least was trying to show her like, yeah, look, I'm not a failure. I am a success. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, he was shoving that into his son all the time for his whole life. And that's why you do feel bad for baby Drago, because he was brought up only to get honor back for his father.
Yeah.
Because he had lost it. And that it is really sad, because you see the wife and mother show up to the fight and everything like that. But then the moment Drago starts showing signs of losing, she leaves the match, which I thought was totally bitter cold. And that's when I really was starting to kind of vote or lean for Drago a little bit, just because you feel so bad for his story. Like, for one, he didn't have much of a childhood. He didn't have a mother that cared about him. She's willing to leave just because he loses a match.
A boxing match.
Yeah,
Holy
it's like,
shit.
jeez.
He would have been the second best boxer in the world.
Exactly, and that's not good enough.
It's Russia. Oh, Cold World Russia, guys. Sorry, at PG Java.
Exactly. God dang.
And that kind of plays in. That kind of plays into the parallels to 4 again, because in the 4th movie they show Ivan Drago, Papa Drago, as this machine. Like it's pretty cheesy when you look back at it, because they're just like, they use science. They're just like, we have all this technology and all this.
They're just pumping the man with fucking steroids.
There's a bottle full of steroids.
I can't understand why you can lift a bus more than any other man.
Yeah. So they think he's unbeatable. There's no possible way that he can lose to anybody.
Yes.
And then in the 4th one, when I think Rocky makes him bleed, and that's when everybody's just like, oh shit,
You see, he can
human.
bleed. He's human. Yeah.
There you go.
And
all that for a drop of blood.
There's some parallels in this movie for that, because again, they talk up baby Drago as he's unbeatable. He's a machine. There's no way
he
you
is
can beat him.
undefeated up until that match. Yes.
Yeah, and as soon as he starts to the tide gets turned on him, then everybody just kind of like, oh shit, maybe not so much.
Yeah, maybe he is
the
breakable.
mother included, the mother especially, I should say.
That was so sad, because then he notices his mom is gone. He actually is kind of shocked that she's even there, and then for her to leave is pretty heartbreaking. And then the father realizes she left, and I think that's when he realizes that she's not worth chasing
it's just a
or
boxing
worrying about
match. I
anymore.
love that.
So this is
he gets his redemption. Yeah,
so this is the
does.
culmination of the movie, and in a lot of ways, the Rocky franchise. In Adonis Creed is really going to town on baby Drago in the last, I think it was the last round, the 12th round, and Victor is showing no signs of slowing down. Like, he's out of gas. He's losing. There's like, this round is all Creed, and he gets in the Creed gets him in the corner. He's barely defending himself at all.
Yes.
And that's when for a second they make you think that Papa Drago was about to leave as well.
Yeah.
yeah, I thought that.
Yeah. And
Like, damn, man.
yeah, I was just like, oh shit. And then he ends up actually throwing in the towel
For his son.
Yes,
Yes.
which I thought was, oh god, that touched me in the feels.
Right?
For real.
Yeah.
Like,
It really did.
This whole time you think if he's going to lose, either A, he will just leave him in shame, or B, he's just going to let him take the beating because he's losing.
The fact that he was still getting, like, he was losing 100%,
Yeah,
and the fact that
he
he
was
was
done.
still getting up, he was not willing to
I guess lose his father's honor or his own honor.
And then I think his father realized that, and that's when he throws in the towel. He's like, my son's more important to me than my legacy.
Right. He even told his son, like, it's okay, which is the first time you get any sentiment toward him at all.
Oh, yeah.
But that was pretty touching, in that in the end, even Drago realized, Ivan Drago, is that the father's name?
Yeah.
Yes.
Even Ivan Drago, as
Papa
cold-hearted,
Drago.
even
Papa Drago.
as cold-hearted as Papa Drago,
There you go.
is in the end, you know, he does actually care about his son. And then in the end, it was kind of nice to see them kind of actually start training together,
Papa
rather
and
than
Junior
Papa
Drago.
Drago
Baby
kind of just
Drago.
telling him what to do. He's doing what he's
Yeah, because they
practicing
show
his
that in the
father's
middle of the
preaching.
movie
Yes.
when Papa Drago's training his
tough
son.
training.
Trying to run him down.
Trying to run him down. He's like following him with a car, and then he like gets angry that he's not going faster. He
Cuts
pulls over
him
in front of
over.
him, and he's like, "When I say go faster, you go faster."
Right. It's pretty tough. Like, I wouldn't fuck with Papa Drago. That
Yeah.
dude's gigantic. But yeah. So it is a sad ending, but also kind of nice ending for Drago as well, because you feel bad for him so much up until this point, and then when he finally gets some sympathy and love from his father, it's kind of like, okay, it's not all so bad for him. At least they have each other now, and they realize there's a new level of respect and love between one another, which is nice to see.
Oh yeah, really well done.
I was gonna say, you feel for every character in this movie.
For sure.
They're so
Yeah.
good at that. Take notes, Fantastic Beast.
Yes.
Everyone has enough time to progress.
Even like the daughter, like that little tiny bit, and then I didn't even realize this until my girlfriend brought it up, where Rocky says she doesn't feel bad for herself.
Yes.
That was kind of it. Like, they didn't even touch on it.
My girlfriend made the same point to me,
at all at the rest of the movie. Who cares if she can't hear or she can?
I did notice that the baby was wearing her little baby ear hearing aids when they went to go visit. When they go to visit Creed's grave. She's wearing them. I didn't realize it, and I was like, but that's a really good point, though. She's not going to know that she's any different, so why? She's not going to sympathize for herself. Why should anyone else? And I thought that was a really good message as well, because even though the wife is kind of going through the struggle, or fiance, of slowly losing her hearing and maybe ability to be a strong musician, at the end of the day, as long as they have each other, it's kind of like a good little happy ending for the family. Yeah, and then again, as you mentioned earlier, Rocky, John Rocky.
You can call me Rocky. I'm okay with that.
All right, Thank you. As Rocky mentioned earlier, main Rocky, goes off and he tells Creed, this is now your time, and he goes off to visit his son, who he has been estranged from for most of his son's life, it seems like.
He says years. He doesn't specify, but he says it's been years since he's spoken to his son.
It was kind of sad, because he even tells Adonis Creed that he has a grandson he's never even met before.
Yeah.
And so for him to go to Vancouver and realize, it's time to make a change, and he shouldn't be running from things anymore, especially after he just taught Adonis Creed the same thing, to go after what you want as hard as you can. He ended up doing the same, and it works out for him really nicely. I thought that was just a nice little way to tie a bow at the end of this movie, for sure. Again, will Rocky ever return for the third Creed movie? I hope he does, at least in some fashion. I think Adonis Creed is going to realize he still needs him. We'll see if Sylvester Stallone's even alive still at the end of this. He's in great shape, but he is an older man now. I hope he lives forever, but
he won't.
He won't.
I just want to bring this up really quick.
Please.
How you said how you thought Drago was going to walk away from the son? Mm-hmm. That was trickery.
Oh, yeah.
That was the second time that movie fucking tricked me. Because you remember in the beginning where Rocky's talking? And you think it's the guy, you thought it's the guy fucking at the bag? You don't remember that?
No.
When Creed is about to get into the fight after the girl tells him, "Did you take a shit?" He's standing there, and then Rocky starts talking, and the camera's focused on another person.
I thought that was him,
and then it turns around, and it's actually him. It's like, oh fuck!
Yeah, I actually thought. Okay, so I already knew I was going to see this movie, so I saw nothing about no commercials, no trailers, no nothing. Yeah. So for a second, I thought, oh shit, is Rocky dead? Is he just like hearing him in his head? For a second, I thought, did they kill Rocky off screen? And this is just him imagining it? Sure. Because the way they shot that made it seem like it was just his voice that maybe he was hearing.
Gotcha.
Fucking trickery.
If they were to make a third one, I don't even... The first Creed was a movie I didn't know I wanted. Because at that point, I was like, who wants another Rocky sequel? I think it's had its time. But they pulled it off very well. Yeah. And the second one is even better, in my opinion. Yes. So, I'm skeptical to say that I even want a third one.
It's not necessary at this point.
I think this really ties up everything in a very beautiful way. It's a good send-off to the entire franchise, to the Creed legacy, the Creed character, both the father and son, Rocky's character. I think this would be a good way to tie it up. If they make a third one and it's good, then by all means. But I would be happy if they didn't. I think they did great with this.
Yeah. As long as they put in as much, if not more, effort than they already have, then I'm down to see it. Especially because it's just a sincerely good movie. It's not like even a bro kind of movie or anything like that.
Too.
My girlfriend doesn't care about sports at all. She doesn't like boxing at all. She doesn't watch it. She couldn't name a pro boxer for her life. Or maybe De La Hoya, I think she might have said once. But still, she actually really liked these two movies. So that's just a testament to say that in the end, it's a good story to be told.
Yeah, my girlfriend had never seen any of the Rocky movies either.
You don't have to.
This one.
They did such a great job of just kind of like when he's watching the YouTube clips from like part 4.
Yes. Yeah,
they caught you up in seconds.
Exactly,
it was so good.
Apollo didn't make it. The father killed him, and now
they blamed Rocky. Rocky could have did all that fun stuff. It was really good.
Yeah, super well done. Ultimately, is it going to be a skip it, rent it, buy it for you guys?
I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, it's
one last question.
Yeah, please.
Including Creed's. What is your favorite Rocky movie?
Ooh, God, you gotta throw me with that.
Including Creed?
Including Creed's, Balboa.
That's hard to say. My decision might be skewed, seeing as how I just saw Creed 2.
I know, right? I mean,
if you had to put one of the movies in the DVD player right now, which one would it be?
I might say Rocky 2, maybe.
Good pick.
Only because the original saga would not... we wouldn't have Creed 1 or 2 without the original saga. But I don't even think... I want to say Rocky 2. But the thing is, what I was talking about you with John before we started recording this episode is that what I like about Rocky 1, though, so much, even though I want to see Rocky win against Creed, in the end, it wasn't necessary because it's the hero's journey of just going the distance. And that's the thing. He didn't have to beat Apollo Creed to have honor, to be able to have fame. Because in the end, people were cheering for Rocky because he did something that no other man was capable of doing. He almost beat the world champion.
And the same thing goes for Creed, the first Creed. Again, going back to how these new movies pay homage to the old ones.
This is how you rehash, by the way.
Yeah, this is how
Star
you do
Wars,
it.
I'm talking about you. At PG Chava.
If you have any issues, yes.
But yeah, like even in the first one, he doesn't win the match, but he goes the distance. He goes all 12 rounds as the underdog, and people didn't see that happening. And the crowd is just on his side. Everybody's on his side at that point because he proved himself.
Both Rocky and Adonis did prove themselves in that they were someone that didn't have much of an... Well, Creed, Apollo Adonis had quite a namesake for himself. And a lot of people doubted, is this guy just Hollywood? Is he just, some guy's kid? But no, he actually is truly skilled, and Rocky kind of showed him how to become more of that. And Rocky also showed that even though you're an underdog, you're a guy that didn't even belong in the same league as Apollo Creed, even though he got invited, and, in the end, Mickey trained him to become as great as he possibly could be. So, yeah, I'd have to say probably Rocky 1 or 2, but... I don't know. These latest Creed movies are pretty amazing. Yeah. What would you say, John?
My favorite is 4, but I would see 2. I think 2 is just an overall better movie, but 4 is my favorite.
Fair enough.
God.
How about you, Peter?
I'm immediately going to throw Creed 1 and Creed 2 by the wayside, only because they're newer, and I feel like they're better movies just for how they're shot alone. The storytelling, it's the Rocky movies back then, it was the 70s? There was very different storytelling back then. And so I feel like the newer movies are better, or more modern. They're just shot in a more modern way.
It's a very nice contemporary piece of art.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to compare the two. They feel, even though they're in the same franchise, they feel like two completely different franchises. That being the case, I'm going to say Rocky 3. Oh, wow. Rocky 3 is probably my favorite.
It's a good pick.
Because Rocky, it shows him losing Mickey. Mickey dies after he beat Clubber Lang. I kept trying to think of his name. Clubber Lang. He loses to Clubber Lang, and then immediately after that fight, Mickey dies, his trainer, and then Apollo Creed's the one that has to...
I'm just pulling up random pictures of Rocky. Don't mind me. Sorry.
And then Apollo Creed's the one that has to train Rocky. And I don't know. It's beautiful. It's the way these movies progress story wise is very, very good. Like Apollo Creed and Rocky first end up being opponents. He loses the first one, Rocky that is. He wins the second one, and then Apollo Creed has to train him in the third one.
True.
Rocky has to avenge him in the fourth one. They're all very good.
5 is terrible.
Five is terrible. 5 doesn't exist in my opinion. No. It's not canon as far as I'm concerned.
Tommy Gunn. Tommy Gunn.
Can we get more names like that nowadays in movies, please?
But I don't know. The third one's my favorite. Hands down. I think it's
good pick. That's a great pick.
Fair enough. All right, well, let us know.
Minus the weird ending to the training montage where Apollo Creed and Rocky both take a dip in the ocean.
Where they're hugging each other after they race in the beach.
Yeah, it's a weird, pretty weird.
They're best friends. Yeah, hey, they found like their
some
opposite.
French dry hump somebody else's leg in the beach.
At the beach, still something happens to two best friends at a beach. I don't know what it is.
Who would do such a thing?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Hashtag Drago.
By the way, so let us know what your favorite Rocky movie or movies are. Hit us up on Instagram, Twitter, again, at STGeekPod, if you will. Let us know also with hashtag Papa Drago as well, so we can find you on there. Most definitely. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to another episode of
Sexy Time Geek.
Sexy Time Geek. I should have guessed that one. Yeah. God damn it. Right. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week. What movie are we watching for next week?
I was going to... I have no idea.
Looking earlier, I couldn't find anything. We'll let you guys know.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, if you have any suggestions, again, Instagram, Twitter, STGeekPod. Let us know.
You guys don't want to watch the Ralph movie?
If there's nothing else, I'm down. If there's nothing else, I'm down. Because that movie does look great, and I do want to see it. My girlfriend really wants to see it too, so I kind of have to. But the first one was super fun. Second one looks great. Thanks for listening, and maybe one day watching an episode of STGeek Pod. This has been episode 8. Thanks for watching, listening, whatever. Have a good one.
Cut me, Mickey. Check.
Check.
Check your booty.